organisers and guests of this inaugural Catholic Community Network event. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm pleased I saw that little video because now I remember what I said I was going to talk about. The topic, success, leadership, and the influence of Christian values in your career. I guess there'd be something wrong if Christian values hadn't influenced my life and career. Mind you, I don't think of priesthood as a career. I've never thought of it as that. And I believe there's a difference in a vocation and a career. In actual fact, 10 years ago I was really surprised when I read in Pope John Paul's letter at the beginning of the third millennium, the beginning of a new millennium it was called, we priests should resist the selfish temptations which constantly beset us and provoke competition, careerism, distrust and jealousy. I've simply never thought of priesthood as a career. In the last, I've been 6 years, as Elaine said, as bishop, but 10 years as archbishop, 10 years as auxiliary bishop before that. And I suppose with a number of trips to Rome, I do understand that there are some people who look for positions in the church of prestige and authority. And so that quote from Pope John Paul has helped me to understand what an incredible leader he was and what a wonderful insight he had into human nature. So, thinking about leadership, I think one of the first times I ever really thought seriously about leadership was just before I turned 20. I had the privilege of attending the Outward Bound School at Anakiwa, and not long after I returned from that Outward Bound experience, I was invited to give a talk about Outward Bound. It got me thinking about what life was all about and what I was going to do with my life. At that stage I was working in a bank, and I knew that I would never make a career of banking. It's probably ironical now that I'm the Bishop's Conference finance person. But I had read an Outward Bound magazine, and I remember very clearly a piece in that magazine as a 20-year-old that spoke about the fact that even if you're leading someone along a path in the bush, you are being of service. And then it said, and surely that's what leadership is all about, service. I remember that clearly, and I'm sure that had some influence on the fact that only a couple of years later I decided to enter the seminary. Because I remember saying that I wanted to do something that would be of service to others, that would be helping other people. And I believe that for me, I had a wonderful inspirational model of a servant leader. Sometimes I used to wonder if my mother could never say no to anyone. But I also knew that she and her father, my grandfather before her, were very, very service-oriented. And they obviously influenced me. Mum was involved in many, many organisations, church organisations, civic organisations, sports organisations. Some things she served at a provincial level, and one in particular, the New Zealand Ladies Golf, she went on to a national level. So I grew up with a mother who was always doing things for others, as I say, in church, in a whole lot of organisations around the town, and in sports. So I learned from Mum to give generously of my time. Learned that doing things for others was never too much trouble. As I think about that now, I think that sometimes you just fall into leadership. It took me a long time to realise that priesthood was actually about leadership. I knew it was about service, but I hadn't really thought, I suppose until I became a bishop, that it was also about leadership. When I went to the seminary and when I was newly ordained, people used to ask me why I had become a priest. And the answer was always that I wanted to do something with my life that was being of service to others, that was helping others. And of course, for a disciple, for a follower of Christ, one can't be a leader if the notion of servant leadership is far from your mind. I simply can't do anything that I'm not ask others to do something if I'm not prepared to do it myself. The great example and the model, the inspiration for us, is of course Christ stooping down to wash the feet of his disciples. Leadership is about service. I love a quote from John Collan, the founder of the Society of Mary. He once said, "No to power, no to prestige, and no to greed." And that no opens for us a yes to service of others. I believe in the 35 and a half years of priesthood, I've been blessed with an incredible variety of experiences. In St. Joseph's Parish, Upper Hutt, for just 4 years, first as a deacon and then as a priest. Bishop Pat and I were ordained deacons on the same day, and I can remember very clearly Bishop Peter Cullinan, he wasn't Bishop then, but I remember him saying that that day we were ordained deacons. Once a deacon, always a deacon. A deacon is ordained to serve. So once a servant, always a servant. And I guess I started off with that conviction that priesthood was about service. My years in Upper Hutt were followed by 3 years in the Cook Islands, and then coming back to Wellington for 5 years in youth ministry and Cook Island chaplaincy at the same time, and then being asked to spend some years in formation of first-year students at Holy Cross College in Moscow. All those appointments for me brought particular challenges because they were all so different. But my thinking had always been, just get on with the job and do what you've been asked to do. The time in the Cook Islands, the locals there decided to bring a dance group to New Zealand to raise funds to build a parish hall. Bishop Dennis Brown was the Bishop of Rarotonga at the time, and he asked me to be the organiser of that group back in 1981. We toured the North Island for a month. I arranged for transport, accommodation, meals, performance venues, speeches and organisation of masses and liturgies in all the towns that we went to. And we returned to Rarotonga with $100,000 30 years ago. And I remember at the time thinking, if I can do that, I can do anything. And the thing was that it gave me confidence. And one of the things that I've come to believe is that you can't lead if you've lost your confidence. And I do believe too, as I said on the little video clip, that leadership comes from within. It's found in the heart. It's not necessarily found in the external arrangements that you organise around you, though they are important. But it's simply who you are. You develop and grow your strengths once you recognise them. That means, of course, that you have to know and be content with who you are. Because if confidence is only surface deep, then you're not speaking and acting and living out from your own inner authority. And I believe that that's quite important. You'll never be a good leader if it's not coming from deep within. Confidence is born of the reality of knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, and there's nothing arrogant about that at all. There's nothing arrogant about true confidence. There are principles that we learn to live by, and one of mine, learned, I suppose, really not long after I became auxiliary bishop, which has now become a bit of a cliched saying, but I do believe it. Life's not about me, I'm about life. Life's never about what I might get out of it. It's never about looking for the reward or the praise or the kudos. We do need to have some praise and have things evaluated to help us to prepare for whatever the next challenge might be. But it's never just about me. One of the other things I've learned about leadership, and I really believe, is that a person can't lead if they're resentful. President Harry Truman of the United States once said, "There's no limit to what you can achieve, provided you don't mind who gets the credit." And I believe that's true. There's no point looking for the reward or looking for praise or being resentful of others who might pick up the vision or pick up the dream of something that you have put forward. It's rather about affirming and encouraging those people and being content if they get the credit. There's no limit to what you can achieve, provided you don't mind who gets the credit. Another great leader, Napoleon Bonaparte, once said, "A leader is a dealer in hope." I believe that we as bishops have a particular task. Maybe all of us do as Christians, but I think as bishops we have a particular task to give hope to people who struggle with life. And a wonderful inspirational document for me just a few years ago was again a document of John Paul II, the Bishop Servant of the Gospel for the Hope of the World. It came from one of the General Synods, at which the New Zealand bishops were represented by Bishop Pat. That document said, "Hope encourages a bishop to discern the signs of life which are able to uproot the seeds of destruction and death. Hope sustains him as he transforms conflict into opportunities for growth and reconciliation. Hope in Jesus the Good Shepherd will fill his heart with compassion. Acting as a father, brother and friend to all, he will stand beside everyone as the living image of Christ our hope." So many people struggle to find meaning in life today. Part of my leadership, I'm convinced, is to try and find ways to give hope to people. Years and years ago, I read a book on preaching which talked about how most homilies today are try harder homilies. It said people are told all the time, try harder to be kinder, try harder to pray more, to give more, try harder to be better. Then it went on to say that try harder homilies are just moralising, and moralising has replaced the good news which holds out hope to those who might be struggling with life in one way or another. We're all leaders in hope, and anyone who's in any position of leadership, I believe, has to do that. It's also difficult to lead if you're afraid. Obviously, we all have concerns and worries, but there also needs to be an element of confidence and calling on that inner authority that I've already spoken of. That inner authority allows us to move forward without fear. Maybe it's important for us to recognise that there is no need to be afraid. In 1995, when I was ordained auxiliary bishop, some friends gave me a kaleidoscope as a gift, and it has engraved along the side, "Let courage be your guide." Those words inspired me from the moment it was given to me, and continue to inspire me, because you can't lead if you're afraid. Fear is palpable, and people very soon pick up whether you are actually confident or not. There are many times, though, in recent years where I've been anxious, concerned, and not knowing what's the best decision to make. But I've learned to make a decision and have courage. It's one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, of course. So let courage be your guide if you're a leader, and be prepared even to make some mistakes. It's also difficult to lead, I believe, if you've lost your passion, if you have no vision, if your dreams have died. The current Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, asked the question, are you prepared to break your heart in pursuit of the vision of true leadership? If there is no vision or passion, how can you lead? Obviously, a leader has to have that vision, that idea, that dream. And sometimes we just simply have to be the ones that try and inspire others to pick up the vision and pick up the dream. I grew up in Hawke's Bay, and I can remember as a young child seeing words on the sound shell at Napier, having no idea that they came from the scriptures, from the book of Proverbs. Without a vision, the people perish. Part of leadership is inspiring others and giving them the vision. So it's difficult to lead if you're too safe, if you're too cautious, if you're too closed and not open to new ideas, if you're not ready to step out of the mould and do something different. Leadership does mean having courage and taking risks. The only way, I believe, to empower and lead others is when you are a person of confidence, And that means having self-awareness, means being a person of deep reflection. So in talking about how Christian values have shaped my life, there's no doubt at all that words from the scriptures have done that and continue to do that. Inspirational leaders. I look back and think of priests who have inspired me and other leaders who have inspired me. Inspirational leaders continue to inspire me, and their words give real depth and meaning and purpose. That whole idea, though, of self-awareness, I think, is contained in that inspirational psalm, Psalm 139, which is about God knowing us through and through, behind me and before me, and you know the word that's on my tongue even before I speak it. If God knows us through and through, and we're able to be confident in God's knowledge and God's confidence in us, then I think we are able to be great leaders. One of the greatest assets a leader has is then that ability to draw on his or her own inner authority, to listen to that deep inner voice and be aware of who you are before God. So in terms of the topic for tonight, success, leadership, and the influence of Christian values in career, as I say, I don't necessarily think that priesthood's a career, it's a vocation. But the greatest value for me is knowing who I am before God, and I believe that that gives me the confidence to lead and do the things that I'm asked to do as a leader in the church today.